I never thought I'd be standing in front of a mirror, fully dressed in my wedding suit, staring at a phone that was completely silent. My wedding was supposed to be the biggest day of my life, the moment I finally proved to my family that I had made something of myself. But instead of the sounds of guests arriving, I was met with the cold, crushing reality that not a single member of my immediate family was coming. They didn't just miss it because of a flight delay or a sudden illness. They skipped it entirely, choosing instead to fly 15 states away to celebrate my sister's promotion party on the very same weekend. Standing there, I realized that 25 years of trying to earn their love had been a total waste of time. I want to ask you guys right now, before I get into the details of what I did next. Have you ever been the disposable child in your family? The one who is always expected to understand, to compromise, and to just take it on the chin while everyone else gets the spotlight? Was I wrong for the way I decided to handle the fallout, or would you have burned those bridges just as fast as I did? To understand how we got to that empty dressing room, you have to understand the dynamic of the Miller family. I'm the middle child, and in my house, that meant I was basically invisible. My older brother, Marcus, was the star athlete, and my younger sister, Chloe, was the golden child who could do no wrong. I was just there. I was the one who got the hand-me-downs, the one whose parent-teacher conferences were forgotten, and the one who worked 2 jobs to put myself through college while my parents paid for Chloe's luxury apartment and Marcus's failed business ventures. I didn't complain, though. I thought that if I was successful enough, if I was stable enough, they would eventually see me. I moved 3 states away to take a high-level job in tech, and eventually I met Sarah. Sarah is everything my family isn't: kind, supportive, and fiercely loyal. When I proposed to her, the first thing she said was how excited she was to finally have a big family. I didn't have the heart to tell her that my family barely knew my middle name. When we started planning the wedding, I reached out to my parents nearly 18 months in advance. I wanted to make sure they had no excuses. I even offered to pay for their flights and their hotel rooms. My mother told me on the phone, "Of course we'll be there, honey. We wouldn't miss it for the world." For a year and a half, I sent updates, photos of the venue, and menu choices. They always responded with short, distracted texts. "Looks nice," or "Okay, thanks." Meanwhile, the family group chat was constantly buzzing about Chloe. Chloe had just landed a job at a prestigious firm, and apparently, that was the only thing anyone cared about. Every time I tried to bring up the wedding, my mom would pivot back to Chloe's new office or the designer bags she was buying. It hurt, but I told myself that weddings are a one-time thing, and when the day finally came, they would show up for me. 3 weeks before the wedding, the cracks started to show. My brother Marcus called me and said he might not be able to make it because his business was hitting a busy season. His business was a failing gym that he barely spent 4 hours a day at. Then, my parents started acting strange. My mom called me 10 days before the ceremony and asked if I would be offended if they arrived a day late, missing the rehearsal dinner. I told her it was important to me that they were there, but if they couldn't make the dinner, I understood. But then, 48 hours before I was supposed to say, "I do," the bombshell dropped. I received a group text from my father. It wasn't even a phone call. It said, "Hey son, change of plans. Chloe's firm is throwing her a massive promotion gala this weekend in California. It's a huge networking opportunity for the whole family, and she really needs our support. We know you'll have a great day with Sarah's family. We'll take you out to dinner next time we're in your neck of the woods. Love, Dad." I stared at that text for 2 hours. They were flying 15 states away across the country to go to a party for a promotion my sister hadn't even earned yet. It was just a junior associate bump. My wedding, the one I had planned for nearly 2 years, meant less to them than a cocktail party. Sarah found me sitting on the floor of our apartment, trembling. When I showed her the text, she was livid. Her family, who treated me like their own son, couldn't believe it. They offered to call my parents and shame them into coming, but I told them not to bother. If my parents didn't want to be there, I didn't want them there. I spent my wedding morning feeling like a ghost. Every time a guest asked where my parents were, I had to lie and say there was a family emergency. It was the most humiliating experience of my life, standing there at the altar, looking at the row of empty seats that were supposed to be filled by the people who raised me. So that was the situation I was in. I stood at my own wedding, surrounded by people who loved me, while the people who were supposed to love me most were posting photos on Instagram from a rooftop bar in Los Angeles, clinking glasses to Chloe's success. I had a choice to make. I could keep being the understanding son and let this go, or I could finally show them what it feels like to be excluded. Before I tell you how I handled the aftermath and the absolute chaos that ensued when they tried to come crawling back, I want you to pause right here. Go down to the comments and tell me, if your entire family skipped your wedding for a promotion party, would you ever speak to them again? Or would you try to forgive them for the sake of family? I really want to know if I'm the crazy one here. The wedding went on, and honestly, it was beautiful. Without the hovering judgment of my parents and the ego of my siblings, I actually had a great time. But the moment the honeymoon was over, the old me died. I blocked them all on everything. I didn't send a "I'm hurt" text. I didn't give them a chance to explain. I just went dark. I changed my phone number, blocked their emails, and even moved to a new house that I had been planning to buy with Sarah. I didn't give them the new address. 6 months went by in total peace. I was happier than I'd ever been. But then, the universe has a funny way of bringing things full circle. My father's investments in my brother's business finally bottomed out. They lost almost everything. On top of that, Chloe's big promotion ended up being a disaster. She was fired after 3 months for gross negligence, and the firm sued her for breach of contract. Suddenly, the successful branch of the family was in total ruin. And who did they turn to? The invisible middle child with the stable tech job and the boring life, since they couldn't reach me. They started harassing Sarah's parents. They eventually tracked down my new office, and my father actually had the nerve to show up at my workplace. He looked older, tired, and pathetic. He walked into the lobby and tried to hug me like nothing had happened. He told me, "Son, we've had a rough run. We need your help. We're losing the house and Chloe needs a lawyer. We're family and family sticks together." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Family? I don't have a family. My family died the day they decided a cocktail party in California was more important than my wedding. You flew 15 states for a promotion, but you couldn't drive 3 for your son. You didn't just miss a party, Dad. You missed your place in my life." He started crying, telling me I was being cold and that weddings are just ceremonies, but blood is forever. I told him that blood might be forever, but respect is earned, and he had spent 25 years losing mine. I had security escort him out. A week later, I got an email from my mother from a burner account. She was screaming at me, calling me ungrateful, and saying that I was the reason the family was falling apart. She said they regretted missing the wedding, but that I should be man enough to move past it now that they were in trouble. I replied with one thing, a link to the photos of the empty front row at my wedding. I told her that those empty seats were now permanently reserved for them in every aspect of my life. I haven't heard from them since, and I heard through the grapevine that they had to sell their house and move into a small apartment while Chloe works a retail job. They spent their whole lives betting on the wrong kids, and when the one they ignored finally had the power to save them, he chose not to. People tell me I'm being cruel, but I see it as a natural consequence. You can't treat someone like an option and then expect them to treat you like a priority when your world starts burning down. At the end of the day, I learned that you can't choose your relatives, but you can absolutely choose your family. I chose Sarah, I chose her parents, and I chose myself. If you're ever in a position where the people who are supposed to support you are consistently making you feel small, don't wait 25 years to stand up for yourself. Do it now. It hurts to cut people off, but it hurts a lot less than standing at an altar looking at empty chairs. If you think I did the right thing by refusing to help them, hit the like button on this video. It really helps me know I'm not alone in this. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about people finally getting the karma they deserve, and please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments. Was I too harsh, or did they get exactly what they asked for? Thanks for listening to my story, and I'll see you all in the next one.